Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Kern Schools Federal Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Bakersfield West Rotary Stroop Family Foundation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and the Kern High School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
And I'm Cindy.
And in studio with us today, we have a fourth grade student, Holly. And Holly, if somebody wanted to call us or get in touch with us, how would they do that?
For math homework help, call in Bakersfield 636-4357. Toll free 1-866-636-6284. Email dothemath@kern.org. We're online at dothemathonline.net and on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
It's a lot of different ways to get a hold of us, isn't there? All right, well, you know what? Holly just let you know all of the different ways to contact us. We do have phone tutors available most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year until 5:30 in the afternoon. So by all means, if you need a little bit of extra help, that's exactly why we're here. We have another very special guest in studio. We'll get to that young lady in a little bit. But how is fourth grade going?
Good.
What's so good about it?
I love my teacher.
Oh, well, that's the most important thing because you're with that teacher all day, right? When you go to junior high school, do you think you're going to be with the same teacher every hour? You're going to be seeing different teachers all the time, right? How do you think that's going to go?
I don't know.
You think you'll look forward to it when the time comes?
Maybe.
Maybe? Well, for right now, fourth grade's going pretty good though, right? How's the math going?
Pretty good.
Pretty good? You're doing well with everything? Mm-hmm. Is there anything that's difficult yet in fourth grade as far as the math goes?
Not really.
Oh, good. So then we'll expand your mind a little bit today, but we'll start off with one that you're working on already, okay? All right, head on over to the board with Cindy. And I know that you've been working on multiplying larger numbers. So give me an example of a number that you've been working with so far.
Do you want me to write it?
Yeah, you can go ahead and write it up there. So 56. So let's put a 3 in front of the 5. So we'll make it 356. And I will let you select. Would you like to multiply that by 1 or 2 digits?
1.
Okay, so you pick the one that you want to multiply it by and put it underneath. All right, so now you go ahead and explain to Cindy how you're going to solve that multiplication problem.
Well, first I'm going to go, I think 6 times 3.
Okay, so let's do this just to make it. There we go.
And then
what do you do after you do 6 times 3? What would you write?
the answer and then put the extra on top.
Okay, so go ahead and do that part. All right, now what?
Now 5 times 3 plus 1.
Okay, good. So what does that equal? All right, nice.
Now 3 times 3 plus 1. So
okay, so how do you read that answer?
1,068.
All right, so let's put a comma in there to make it. There you go. See, he threw you off with an extra number and you mastered it.
So you were doing something just a little beyond what your comfort level was, right? So we'll do something even a little bit beyond that the next time. So come on over here first, young lady. That was an excellent first problem. And for doing such a great problem on that, we've got yourself a couple of tickets to any CSCB athletics event of your choice. So, do you ever go to sporting events?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. What's your favorite sport? Like if you wanted to go to Cal State and see a sport, do you have an idea what you'd like to go see?
I kind of like watching swimming.
You like watching swimming? Well, you know what? They have swimming going on out there, so you got 2 tickets to head on out there, all right? Sound good? All right. Well, we do have phone tutors available until 5:30. Time now for today's Math in the News. Well, today's Math in the News, we in studio with us right now, we have Nicole from the Kern County Museum. Welcome.
Hello, thank you.
So what exactly do you do with the Kern County Museum?
I am the Community Engagement Manager, and that basically means I make sure the community knows about everything that's going on at the Kern County Museum.
Which is exactly why we have you here.
Which is why I'm here.
Because there are a lot of activities and events that are aimed at students. So what are
Yes.
some of the things that are going on currently with the museum?
Well, right now, we are about to have our Safe Halloween, as I'm dressed appropriately to talk about.
Okay.
That is on October 30th and 31st, and it's called Safe Halloween. You just can go and trick or treat in a safe atmosphere, and there's just tons of businesses lined up ready to give candy.
Okay, so is a child able to go on the 30th and the 31st, or is it just one day or the other?
You can do both, but it would be a ticket each day.
Okay, so you do purchase a ticket
Yes,
to
yes.
go into that.
Yep.
And there are a lot of businesses, so how many businesses are there? I mean,
Normally about 50, sometimes more, sometimes less. And then there's, fun, food. It's just a good old time for kids, just there'll be music, a costume contest.
okay.
Yeah, so we just try to make it fun and enjoyable, and then just a safe place for kids to go.
And how many years has the museum been doing this?
Oh, goodness. I don't,
Since
for
before
many,
you
many
got there,
years,
right?
yes, yes.
Okay, well, how long have you been with the museum?
Almost a year,
Okay.
so I'm pretty new, but
And
I
what are
know
some
about
of the
it.
things that are coming up or that you would like to share about the museum right now?
The Lori Brock Discovery Center is a children's museum at the Kern County Museum, and they do a lot of things for kids of all ages.
Okay.
Right now there's Steamtown, which is basically a play area for kids, toddlers up to probably about 8. They can play in different, they can be a waitress at Luigi's or doctor at Dignity Health, banker, firemen, that sort of thing. It's just
Okay.
really a lot of creative play. There's also story time on the first Tuesday of every month, bilingual story time. So that's fun. And then there's also Living History Day will be coming up October 18th. So maybe your school can go to it, and you just need to let us know. And
So
it's
what is going on that day? So is it a specific time period? Is it a
yes,
certain
at
event that's going
9:30.
on?
At 9:30 you can check in. It can be a school, homeschool group. You can just go with your family, but you check-in is at 9:30, and basically you'll get to tour some of the homes and learn about Kern County history. It's kind of history in action type thing.
Okay. And I know that, so there's the
So
Howell
that's
House.
that's the Howell House, yes. So that was actually a house built in Bakersfield. It was picked up and moved to our museum. So that's one of the tours. I'm not sure if that specific tour will be at this October Living History Day, but yeah, that's an example.
And that's a
of one.
beautiful Victorian
It
style
is.
house
It's
also.
beautiful, yes.
And
Yes.
I've had the opportunity, because they don't always have that open.
No, it's usually on these type history days. That traditionally is one of the ones they do, but don't quote me on that.
Well, you know what? If we want to see it, we'll just
Right.
go and go, hey, get
Just come
Nicole
to
out
the-
here.
right, right.
She said we go in the Howell House
But
anytime
you
we
can
want.
come anytime to look at it.
So I know one of the more recent additions to the museum was the Merle Haggard boxcar house.
Yes.
Is there anything in the future that you guys are planning on adding to the museum?
Well, we are
that maybe we
about
can find
next
out about now?
week a grand opening for the Dust Bowl exhibit, and that's going to be a few houses from that time period, from workers, migrant workers out, the Dust Bowl migration. So it'll be kind of documenting that
good.
a group the Ellen Baker Tracy Guild has brought together funds for. And
I remember a lot of
and
you are
help
hearing
us.
about this now the first time.
yes,
on
that
Google
is
Maps.
the first. You are privy
right.
to.
Now, Holly, do you have
Good
any
question.
questions for Nicole?
What type of events are there in the summer?
Well, we always have our summer camps. They're for all ages, and they're all summer. Every week is a new theme, like art or science. I'm just trying to think of what other thing, just engineering, the STEAM type of education, and that's so a new theme is every week, and you can do that. But then Lori Brock is open year-round too, and it's air-conditioned, the STEAM town, and there'll be a power lab coming soon for older kids.
Okay.
Probably 7 to 12 to learn. It's an interactive experience where you can learn about power, all sorts.
So that's
of
something you
power.
might be, because in 4th
Yes.
grade you must be about 9 years old, right?
Yep, that would be great.
Okay.
So that is coming up. Maybe it will be done by the summer. But of course, there's always the bilingual story time and things like that we do all year.
Well, good. Well, maybe you'll see Holly in the summertime.
Yes,
And you can go, hey,
please
Nicole,
come.
remember us? We were TV stars one day. Okay,
Just
check
ask
out-
for Nicole.
Check out the STEAM lab and everything else going
Yeah,
on with
yeah.
that. Well, Nicole, we certainly do appreciate you taking
Well,
out some
thank
time
you.
coming to
It
tell
was very
everybody in
nice
Kern
being
County
here.
and surrounding areas about the activities going on
Yes.
with the Kern County Museum. And that is today's Math in the News. 636-4357 is that phone number. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30. We'll get to some of those phone calls in a little bit. But first, time to go out and about and see how we're using math in the real world with Scott.
Hey, good afternoon. A little math in the real world. One of the favorite parts of the show. We really like to see how math really happens in the real world. And so today we are here live at Vie Pinnacle Engineering. And Matt Vovilla, thanks so much for being with us.
You're welcome.
I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do, what your company does, and kind of how you got involved?
Well, we're pretty much civil engineering generalists, and we do a variety of work, and that's what we, enjoy about it. Anything that, any man-made infrastructure that you see out here, roads, bridges, canals, pipelines, renewable energy, the power lines that you see running across country, we have a hand in all of that. There's civil engineering required in all of those. We do hydrology studies. We're also involved in environmental studies. A lot of people don't really know that, they don't equate, environmental concerns with civil engineering. But we do a lot of stormwater pollution prevention plans, and we do plans for treatment of wastewater and plans for treatment of stormwater. That's kind of the, sort of the latest movement in the environmental world.
Right.
So-
So many areas that you're involved in. So every part of the infrastructure that we see of a city or town has some civil engineering behind it. And so there's
It
a big
does.
call for what you do.
Airports, high-speed rail, canals, ports, all of that requires civil engineering.
Right.
So it's a huge field. Wastewater treatment plant, it's not the most glamorous component of what we do, but, that's a part of it as well.
Right, and we all appreciate that. Thank you very much for taking care of the wastewater. That's a good thing. So tell us a little bit about your specific business. Do you work with public entities, or are you a private business? Do you do private contracts? How does that all work?
We've worked both with municipalities and the private sector. Being a small company, I would say the majority of our work is in the private sector. But also municipalities, they have, the trend is to farm out engineering because it's too costly for small municipalities to maintain a full engineering staff full-time. So they'll farm out civil engineering projects to the private sector. But we also work for private developers, and as part of any development project, we have to do infrastructure improvements, which are ultimately dedicated to the city or the county or whatever municipality it is.
Right. So you have to have obviously background in math and obviously a background in
Yes.
some amazing sciences and whatever else, but maybe even some law as well, right? Because you have to know what rules and regulations are going to affect the project that you're working on.
We do. I mean, some of our work involves the Clean Water Act,
There you
the
go.
National Pollution Discharge Elimination System program. We're not attorneys, of course, but we need to know, there's a lot of permitting, One project may require a permit from the Corps of Engineers, from California Fish and Wildlife, from State Fish and Wildlife, from the county. So there's a lot of bureaucracy involved in doing, this kind of work anymore.
Right. Oh man, so many different things you got to think about. So as a student of life, and I want to make sure that I can hopefully help some of the infrastructure of my town, right?
Sure.
Obviously, I got to know some math, but it sounds to me like a main part of your job needs to be communication skills, or having someone with you in your company that has good communication skills, because there's so many different inputs that come to you, right?
There's technical report writing. We have to communicate with bureaucrats and politicians and government officials at all levels. And so, young people that we've recruited in our company, the one thing that I've tried to stress is communication skills and writing skills, because a lot of engineering programs, including my own at Michigan State, didn't emphasize that as much, and so I've been a student of it even, after getting out of school.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you say that. I think that that's such a big part of life in general. But sometimes, as much as we love math, sometimes those math teachers and math courses forget about the human part, the communication part. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but you got to be able to get your ideas across to someone. And so it sounds like that's really what you all do.
Well, and public speaking is part of it as well. We have to present projects to boards and boards of supervisors and various city councils and HOAs and community services district, and that's all a part of it. So you have to present every project and be able to respond intelligently to whatever questions the public has.
Right.
And as you probably know, every project has to comply with the California Environmental Quality Act.
Right.
And any project that goes through that, anyone can oppose it or support it, and you are obligated to respond to any inquiry that anyone has. So, and it's a good system, and it works.
Yeah, that's good. Gosh, we're so excited. I'm excited to know about the numbers that go behind this, but you're representing yourself very well so far. We appreciate that. We appreciate the things you've shared with us so far. But when we come back, we want to get into some real specific problems about how this place runs and what kind of problems maybe you look at day to day. A little bit of algebra, a little bit of geometry. We'll work with some numbers. It'll be fun. Right now, we'll go back to the studio because I know we have some problems to do there as well.
That's right. Thanks for that, Scott, and Matt as well out at LAV, and Roll Tide, as a matter of fact, for Matt out there as well. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30 this afternoon, and don't forget, you can always email us at dothemath@kern.org. As a matter of fact, one of the problems that we're going to have Holly work on right now is from a student that emailed a problem in. So, are you ready to get to work? All right, over to the board, young lady. Here we go. So the first one, the time is currently 3 a.m., so it's 3 o'clock a.m.
Oh, here, I'm gonna make notes for you before you start. There we go.
The student wants to know, what time will it be 60 hours after that? So you can discuss with Cindy things that you think you need to know, and then how you would like to attack this problem. All right?
Okay. So what are you thinking? So it's 3 a.m. now. Should we worry about that yet?
Maybe.
Maybe. Well, let's say if it's, how many hours are in a day?
24.
Okay, so we know if one day passes, that's 24 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if exactly 24 hours passed, what time would it be that day?
It would be,
So if it was 3 a.m. to start and then a day went by?
would it be 3 a.m. again?
Yeah, so it'd be still 3 a.m. Okay. Maybe I should make you write this down, huh? All right. Go ahead. What's next? So after, can you do another, how many hours are left? How about that? Out of the 60. You want to subtract it on the board? You don't have to do it all in your mind. So see how many hours are left. Do we have enough for another day? What do you think?
My teacher taught me how to do this. She told me to just turn that. And
Okay, so hold on.
oh no, wait.
I think you're thinking when you have another number that you have to
Yeah.
go to, huh? That's what I know what you're talking about, but that's when there's like another number over there. Whoops, sorry. Okay, so now there's 36 hours that are still left. So is there enough for another whole day? Okay, so go ahead and write like 24 hours there. And that would be what, day 2, right? And then what time would it be on that second day? You can still write 1 day, it's just 2 days total so far. What time would it be right there?
Would be 3 a.m.
Yeah. Okay, so then how many hours are left from our 36 if we took 24 out of it for that day?
Let's see.
Okay, so not enough for a day, right? So now you have to figure out if it's 3 a.m. and then 12 hours go by, what time would it be? Get counted out, or
I think I got it. I'm trying to think if wouldn't it be 3 o'clock, like p.m.?
yeah, exactly.
So then it would be 12 hours.
That's fine. So you got 12 hours, which isn't a full day, but you know what time it is, right?
And then that would just make it the
So 3 p.m. Yeah, because a.m. and p.m. are 12 hours apart, right, on a clock. Okay, nice show.
There you go. So, Holly, that was 60 hours that passed from 3 a.m. to 3 p.m. a couple of days later. Is there any activity that you can think of that you would stay up for 60 straight hours?
I don't know.
Not me either. I got to get my sleep. I can tell you that. The old man needs rest every night.
Because that's like what?
I just wanted to see if you'd be
2.5
like,
days,
oh yeah,
huh?
there's this game I would play or something for 60
I'm thinking
straight
like Relay
hours.
for Life, they stay up for a while, but
No,
not
well-
60 hours, I don't think.
Yeah, that's a long time right there. All right, we do have phone tutors available until 5:30 most Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Right now, we'll go to the phones. And how are you this afternoon?
Thank you.
There you go.
How are you today?
Great.
What grade are you in?
4th grade.
All right, as soon as you're ready, let's hear the math problem that you're working on. Holly, come on over here. We'll listen to it together as she reads off the problem. So as soon as you're ready, let's hear it.
Okay. Keisha walks 12 blocks to school every day. One day, she counts 88 sidewalk squares in one block. If each block has the same number of sidewalk squares, how many squares does Keisha walk on as she walks to and from school every day?
Okay, so I just want to make sure I got this correct. So that she walks 12 blocks to and from or one way?
To and from.
Okay, so that's the total, right? And
Yes.
she counts that there's 88 squares in one block.
Yes.
And then she wants to find out how many squares there will be in her entire 12 block walk.
Yes.
Okay, so what are you thinking you should do with your numbers?
I think maybe I should multiply 12 and 88.
Okay, sounds like a good plan because for each one block there's 88 squares, and since there's 12 blocks, you would have 88 12 times, right? Okay. So are you learning double digit multiplication?
Yes.
Okay, so how would you do it? Would you put 88 over 12 or 12 over 88?
It doesn't matter. But I'll put 12 over 88.
Okay, so you're gonna put the 12 on the top.
Okay. Yes.
All right. Okay, so then you would do,
8 times 2,
right, and you get what?
16.
Okay, and then what do you do with the 1 from the 16?
You carry the 1.
All right,
Now, 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9.
okay,
So you will put the 9 down.
yes.
And then we cross out the 8. Then we make an arrow underneath the 6 and add a 0.
Okay,
Then we'll do 8 times 2,
all right,
and that is 16.
yep,
Then we carry the 1, 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9.
Okay. So your method of putting 88 on the bottom kind of works out because you kind of get the same numbers in your multiplication, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then what are you going to do with your 2 lines?
I'm going to add 6 plus 0 is 6,
Yes.
and 9 plus 6 is 15.
Right. And then
Carry the 1.
Yeah, exactly.
9 plus 1 is 10.
Okay,
And
then
you get 1,056.
okay, so I'm going to put a comma in there for the thousands place. And then, so there's 1,056 squares, right?
Yeah.
All right, nice
There
job.
you go. That way you need to label it appropriately. Nicely done, and for your efforts right there, we're going to reward you with a free meal of your choice at Grillin' Burger. So congratulations on that. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30. Now, when she was phoning in with that and you were listening to it, did you have the same idea to do what she was doing? You would have done it a little bit differently? All right, well, you know what? There's all different ways to do multiplication. As a matter of fact, before we go to break, take a look at the problem right now. Do you see the 96? And then under the 6, there's a 0. Why is there a 0 there? Do you know why that happens?
Because, maybe because in the top one, 8 plus 2 is 10.
Have you ever heard of a placeholder when you're doing multiplication? To move from the 1s to the 10s to the 100s, things like that? Well, maybe that's a little something we'll do later on. Sound good? All right, we'll be back with more right after this. Today we're at Gorman School, home of the Cougars, and we're here to Here we are once again with some 5th and 6th grade students at Gorman School, famous Gorman School, I have heard. So here's what I'd like you to do. At the top of your paper, write 24 feet.
Okay.
24, so 24 feet. So we have 24 feet of fencing, okay? And the 24 feet of fencing, we want to make a large area to put, let's say, our dog in or something, okay? Now, there are a lot of ways we could make 24, okay, as far as covering like we've been doing with area and perimeter, right? So we want the largest area with 24 feet of fencing at the perimeter. So what are some ways I could use, I could make 24 feet going around something? Could I do a 1 times 24? I could, right? So I could go like this 1, and I could go all the way down 24, right? And it's only going to be this large, right? Do you think an animal would like to be in something that's only 1 foot wide but 24 feet long?
No, since my dog no.
Probably not, right? Are there other ways that I could use that 24 feet of fencing to make a better area and larger area?
Yeah.
Because this is just 1 times 24 equals 24 square feet, right? What's another way I can make 24?
You could do, you could divide it 24 by 4, which would be 6.
Okay.
And do like 6 here, 6 here, 6 here, and 6 here.
Well, we're going to do like, we'll go like this. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And we'll go down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I take this and shade it all in, right? This is a 6 and this is a 4. Now add it up. Is that going to add up to 24 feet going around?
No.
Right? It makes 24 square feet, but it doesn't make 24 going around. Right? Could I have done this even? Because this makes 24 square feet, but is it using 24 feet of fencing? You see the difference? If I go down 24 feet this way and I go down 24 feet this way, How many feet have I used?
42, 40,
48, right?
40 something.
48,
Yeah.
right? And then I have one at each end. That's 2 more, right? So 48 plus 2 is, what's 48 plus 2?
50.
50, right? So that would be 50 feet of fencing. Do I have 50 feet of fencing?
No.
How many do I have?
24.
24. If I add this all up, what do I get? If I go all the way around it,
20.
right? 6 and 6 is 12. 4 and 4 is 8. So that makes 20 feet. How many feet do I have to use? I have to use 24.
You could just
So what I want you to do is come up with a design on your paper that goes around 24 feet and then multiply it to see what the area is. All right, go. So Jeremiah, you came up with something?
I think
What did you do?
6, 6, 6, 6.
Okay, so if you go 6 all the way around, that adds up to 24 feet, right? So label it 24 feet. That's the perimeter, right? So 24 feet. Now the area is when you multiply the two numbers. So if you multiply those two numbers, the 6 and the 6, what do you get?
30.
36, right? 6 times 6 is 36, right? So put 36 square feet under it. There, you got it, you got it. So 36 square feet underneath it. Did anybody else come up with it using 24 feet?
3.
So you're going to go, how many squares across did you go?
3.
You went 3 across. Okay, and how many are you going to go down? 8? Okay. So if you go 3 by 8, right, if you add it all up, so right, label each side 8, 8, 3, and 3, and then add them up and see if you get 24. That's all right. You know what we're going to do? We're going to keep on working on this. We're going to see what we can do to get the greatest area with 24 feet of fencing as the perimeter, working with the 5th and 6th grade students at Gorman School. That fits you beautifully. No. Always a lot of fun visiting students and working with them in schools around Kern County, and in that case, just a little bit outside of Kern County in Gorman. So we'd like to thank the LA Unified School District for having do the math out there and working with some of those students. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30. We have Holly, a 4th grade mathematical whiz, in studio with us today. And we do have another opportunity to learn a bit more about engineering, so we'll head on back out with Matt and Scott.
Hey, we're back here at Vie Pinnacle Engineering, a little math in the real world, and continuing to talk with Matt Vavilla, because there's a lot to learn about civil engineering. We've been having a conversation sitting here at the conference table, wanting to know what the heck this is all about. But as we think about the things in our lives, the infrastructure all around us, there is some civil engineering that goes behind all of that. So Matt, real briefly, can you tell us what we're looking at here? Looks like some plans for a project that you're working on, right?
Sure. Well, you know, again, this one's not the most exciting project, except for one component. We have a lot bigger projects that might be more interesting, but this is just a gas station and a C-store in the city of Barstow. Okay. There are street improvements along here and here, which include curb and gutter and block wall. But one interesting component of this is that all the stormwater is captured and treated on site. As we, talked about, stormwater runoff from, and this is rainwater hitting pavement and parking lots, and it's for lack of a better word, it's become just as dirty as the wastewater that comes from your garbage disposal and your shower and your toilet. So,
and our viewers can relate to this because if it rains so seldom in Bakersfield, but when it does, there's always a little film on top of that water, that rainwater in a parking lot, and you're like, what is that? Well, there's a lot of material that hit that concrete or hit that flat surface between rains.
Exactly, and there's lawn fertilizers and pesticides, heavy metals that come off of roofs, heavy metals that come off of cars. So all of that, in the past has eventually made its way into our water courses or our groundwater. So the trend, this is an ongoing trend. This happens to be San Bernardino County. They don't really have any standards for it. We had to come up with this ourselves. They really liked it, but what it does, it captures runoff from the roof. It captures runoff from the parking lot. We send some of it into a biofiltration basin where there is organic media that takes out heavy metals and sediments. We have an oil water separator that takes off oils, that sheen that you talked about in that first stormwater runoff. We've got in the catch basins here, we have netting that captures trash and debris. And then after all of that, it goes into an underground chamber where it eventually builds up. The clean is filtered again. The clean water does infiltrate into the ground, and then any negative constituents are captured and ultimately taken to a landfill. But at least it's not getting into our water courses.
Right. And I love the proactive part about what you're talking about here, because there are no specific regulations, but you're being proactive and saying there should be, and even if there's not, we're going to go ahead and make a self-contained project here, right?
There are regulations, but as far as engineering design manuals, that is still in its infancy. In other words, at this location, use an oil water separator or something like that. Those don't really exist yet. So we've been a student of that in the last year or two, and but the county's really liked our plan and is using that sort of as a template for future projects. So.
Good deal. All right, so let's look at some specifics here. I really like this problem that we looked at as you were talking about widening the road, and of course you have to think about the angles of the material that you're using to make sure all the water goes to a specific place. Obviously, we all recognize this as just a regular old curb in the neighborhood, right? And so the rainwater runs from the middle of the street to the curb and then goes from there. There's an angle where the water gets a chance to run to the sewer area, right? But this obviously takes some specific material and a specific amount of material. So tell us a little bit about this problem. We're looking here at a cross section of this curb, right? And you broke it down into some real specific geometric shapes, and I think that's a great way to approach the problem here. So what do you look at first when you're looking at a project like this?
Well, as engineers and even contractors, we have to do material takeoffs to determine ultimately the cost of the project. Contractors need to know how to bid it. We need to be able to tell the owner, the municipality, how much this is going to cost. So we have to determine in this one little instance how much concrete we may have to use. So usually these are unusual shapes, but what we do, we break it down into geometric shapes that we're used to calculating. And so the volume, as you know, of anything is really its cross-sectional area. This would be like a slice taken of this curb and gutter right there, and that's what basically the dimensions. And then with knowing the length, we can determine the total volume required so that the contractor can order a curb and gutter, and we can determine with bid history what this component is going to cost. And of course, you add up all the other components, and
that's the total cost for your whole project. And adding in, we talked a little bit earlier about adding in a little bit of waste, right? And maybe some other components, but there's lots to look at here. Specifically, you have some real specific measurements here. You have some measurements even as far as the length of what you're doing here. But obviously, you as the engineer need to know about that, but also, like you say, the contractor needs to know that as well, so they know how much material to order. So,
and the contractor typically checks our numbers, and we welcome that, because if we're human, we make mistakes every now and then, but we try not to. But if we get something a little bit different, it raises a flag.
So. All right, we still want to learn more about this. We got some more problems to do. We want to know a little bit more about the future of your area of expertise. We'll be back soon.
All right, thanks for that, Scott and Matt. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30. Time now to get Holly back to work. You ready? Head on over to the board. This is a problem that a 5th grade student from Lakeside phoned in with and wasn't able to stick around and do it on the phone, so we're going to go ahead and do it for Patty right now. So there are 624 envelopes.
Write that down.
And they need to put a certain number of envelopes into 8 bags. And they want to make sure that the 8 bags have the same number of envelopes. How many envelopes in every bag? So how do you want to do it?
Should I do it as a multiplication problem?
Well, let's see. If we have 624 envelopes, right? And we only have 8 bags. If we multiply,
Should we?
is that going to make the number bigger or smaller?
Bigger, so we should.
So do you think you're going to put more in each bag than what you started with? Would that make sense? Okay, so multiplication won't work. So
Division?
have you learned about division? Have you learned about like how to divide those kinds of numbers?
Not really.
Not really? Okay, well division's a lot like multiplication, so I'm just going to move your 8. Okay. So you know your 8s and your multiplication, right? So basically, when you set it up, you think of your 8s and you figure out, okay, so if I have 8 and I start with the 6, okay, can 8 times anything make 6? Or is it, or is
Well,
6
8
too
times
small?
something can, but not a
Well, yeah,
full
but like a
number.
whole number. It's too
6,
small, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you go over to 62. So 8 times what is close to 62, but not too big?
8 times 7.
Okay. So let's just write it over here because I know that when you start learning about it, you kind of use like your math facts there. Okay, so then if we went 8 times 8, that's too big, right? Because that's 64. So we're going to put a 7 right there, and it's above the 2 because we're going into 62, all right? So then you put the 56 underneath your 62 right there because that's what 8 times 7 equals. Wait, like this, right?
Oh.
Okay, so the 5's going to go here. Whoops. And the 6 is going to go there because you just put it directly under 62. Okay. So how much is left over if you had 56 taken out of the 62? So what's left over mean? What kind of math?
Well, I mean, subtraction.
Mm-hmm. So go ahead and subtract that.
I'm just gonna.
And don't worry about the 4, just ignore it.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'll make. I can't even see.
All right.
So it would just be 6.
Okay. So then in division, what you do is if you still have an extra number, you bring it down into what you had left. And you do the same thing we just did. So you ask yourself, okay, now I have 64 and I have 8. 8 times what is 64 or close to it?
8 times 8.
Okay, so then put an 8 up there above the 4. And what did 8 times 8 equal?
64.
Okay, so you put that underneath that 64.
I put 64.
And then you subtract.
That would
And
just
you
make
show that you have nothing left over.
0.
So that means if you took those 624 envelopes and you like went one by one putting them in the bags, then each bag would have that many. So 78 what? What's a label on there?
78.
What are we putting in the bag, do you remember? Envelopes. So it'd be 78 envelopes that you would have in each bag.
All right, nicely done. You ready for another problem? All right, so erase the board, and we'll go back to your friend multiplication, because that seems like what you like to do right now. So I will let you select any 2-digit number.
17.
17? All right, go ahead and write it on the board. I will select the other one. Let's make it 89. So 17 times 89. So you may select to work that out any way you like, and if you would like to learn a new way, Cindy can show you that.
So you want to start with like the area model, the boxes? Let's start with that. Okay. So we have a 2-digit and a 2-digit. So basically we just need like that, right? Because we need. So do you know what to do with that? Okay. So what do you do with the 17? Where would you put it?
You put a 10 and 7.
Okay, so just explain in case someone watching isn't sure why you put 10 right there. Why did you put 10 right there from here?
Because if you subtracted 7 from 17, it would make 10. So you're just breaking it apart.
Yeah, and it's also like a place value, right? That's the 10's place value. Oh my gosh. Okay, go ahead. Then what do you do with the 89?
With the 80 right here. 9.
Okay, and the 80s, because that's 8 10s, which is 80, right? And then 9 1s, which is 9. Okay, so then in this model, do you know how to fill in the boxes already? Okay, so you basically multiply, it's kind of like a multiplication chart. So you multiply each, like you're gonna do 80 times 10. Do you know how to multiply by 10, like the quick way? Yeah?
I can just do that kind of stuff in my head.
All right, so write down inside that box what 80 times 10 equals.
I think this is right.
I'll check you. Yeah, exactly. Because basically, if it's just zeros, they just go on the back, right? From 1 times 8. Okay, and then 80 times 7 goes here.
I'm going to write that one.
I'll let you do it, and I'll give you a hint on anything that has a 0 in it. Because what's always going to equal right here, no matter what this number is, if that's a 0, what would that part equal?
0.
Yeah, every single time, right? So you really only have to worry about this part.
8 times 7 is 50. Is it?
You got it, you almost said it.
56?
Yeah. So what you do is you just put the 0 on the back of what this equals. So it'd be 560. Because 8 times 7 is 56, and you're doing 80 times 7, so the 0 goes on the back of the 56. Okay, what's that times that? 9 times 10.
Right here. 90.
Right, and then we do 9 times 7.
Is 64, right?
Ooh, you're very close. That's 8 times 8, though. You're so close, though. So do you know?
63.
Yeah, exactly. So put your 63 in there. And then how you get your answer for this multiplication from this model is you add all these up. So you can go ahead and just like make a list and add it up. Since they're bigger numbers, you probably can't do it as much in your mind.
Oops.
Here, I'll move it a little for you. Hold on. If I can. Let's see. So you have some room. Okay, there we go.
I think this is right.
It is, yeah. Right, so then that's your answer to 17 times 89. So that's one way of doing it. Do we have
So
time
I'll give you 3 minutes to do
show her
it
the other way?
another way.
Okay, so let me move it back down a little. Wait, hold on. Wait, yeah, that way. Okay, so we're going to get the same answer, but we're going to do it in a different way. So we're going to go off of what you already know about doing 1 digit. Okay, so go ahead and do that 1 digit. Do the 9 times 7 and the 9 times 1 part. So ignore the 8 for a minute. Just do 9 times 7.
Okay, 9 times 7.
You gotta hurry though. Go. Okay. And then you do 9 times 1.
9 plus 6 is. And then, I don't know.
And then since there's nothing to carry it to, you just put it there. 9 times 1 plus 6 is 15, right? Now, so we're done with this 9 now. Now we're moving over to the 8. The 8 is in the tens digit, which means the first part of our answer has to go right here in the tens digit. So that's why people put a 0 here to remind them not to put their answer right there, okay? Okay, so you don't want to put your answer there because now you're in the tens section. So now you're going to do 8 times 7.
8 times 7 is 56.
Yes. So you write the 6 and you carry the 5. Just like you did on the other part. Okay, so then let's just cross that out, put a 5. Okay. And then you're going to do 8 times 1
Is 8
plus 5.
is 13, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then I
All right, so you write the 13 right there. And then now you add this. So 3 plus 0.
Oh.
And then 6 plus 5. And then you add that part up. And look at that. Same exact answer, right? Different way of doing it.
There you go.
Yes.
Lots of different ways to multiply, and you've experienced 2 different ways right there. Holly, have you ever had the experience of going to a Bakersfield Condors hockey game? You never have? Well, it's your lucky day because you've done that problem 2 different ways. We're going to give you 2 tickets to go see the Bakersfield Condors. So hockey's going to be something fun to go to. That'll be a lot of fun. I think actually this weekend is opening night, I think. Is that right? Friday night? Friday night, opening night of the Bakersfield Condors this season. And it should be another great season for those guys. They've been supporters of Do the Math for many years. And since they moved up to their new level, they've even gotten some success at that level. So this year should be a promising year. And Holly will be at one of those games. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30 this afternoon, but we do have one more opportunity to go visit with LAV and visit with Matt and Scott and see what they're up to one more time.
Hey, we're back here at LAV Pinnacle Engineering. We've had a wonderful conversation so far about the general area of civil engineering, but also some real specifics. We got all kinds of problems. We looked at a geometry problem. We were blessed to have some more problems. Even algebra, trigonometry got me pretty fired up. But I know there's lots of specifics we've been looking at in the studio as far as specific math problems. What we really want to know is tell us a little bit about the future of this specific area that you work in, civil engineering. Where is it going from here? What's the outlook for young people as far as getting involved in it?
Well, you know, I think the future is pretty good.
Yeah.
Right now we can't find enough qualified people. And you know, years ago, maybe a decade ago, when the bottom sort of fell out of the real estate market, a lot of people got out of it and went and did other things. So right now, we're always looking for qualified people. And you know, sometimes new building, you know, slows down, but there's maintenance and rehabilitation projects that are always ongoing. A big chunk of our work is school rehabilitations, bringing them up to current codes and ADA standards, and you know, as you know, they're trying to get as much bang out of their buck with, you know, limited budget. All municipalities are. I think the future's good. We're always going to need our water systems and our sewer systems and all of that. So we're always looking for good people, and there are things that you know, job duties that young people can do right out of high school.
Right. And then we had a conversation. I just met Alyssa today. Yeah. We had a conversation with you a little while ago. You work with Matt, right? Yeah. And you work here and do a lot of the same types of things, but tell us a little bit about how you got involved in this business.
I got involved from my dad, who is a civil engineering company, and he developed some of the projects that we worked on. So I got involved working for Matt.
And how old were you? Can I ask?
17.
You were 17. You were in high
I
school?
was a senior.
Yeah.
Yep. So I started off, I mean, I had 5 years of math in high school, so
Okay.
I had a little bit of that, and then from there I just learned drafting. I draft plans, and then learning how to do calculations for hydrology, traffic, anything that we needed in the office. I learned how to do it. So,
Right. So you started right away when
Yeah.
you were in school still.
Yes.
And the math,
Yeah.
tell us honestly,
Yeah.
did the math help? Did the math help you out?
Yeah, it helps you understand. Yes, it definitely. And then you could pinpoint if you see something that you think is wrong, like he said earlier, that you know you're doing running computer programs that do stuff that you don't have to do by hand, but you can kind of say, hey, this doesn't work, this doesn't look right. So it does help.
So maybe one of the things that you would suggest to a student, just like I suggest to my students, we want to do some estimation, right,
Yes,
in our heads.
yes.
When you're looking at a problem, does the answer make sense at the end?
Right, exactly. Should this be 5 or 500?
Right,
This
right.
doesn't make sense. So we see it all the time, every day. We see stuff like that. So yeah, I've learned from, and now, yeah, do all kinds of stuff.
So neat. So obviously we're going to take some math We're going to hopefully be able to take some courses in communication, right? We want to be able to obviously have some engineering courses as well. Anything else that either one of you would suggest for young people as they move forward and want to do something with engineering in general, but maybe even more specifically civil engineering?
Well, in addition to the math, I would take all the physics classes.
All right.
You know, because all structural engineering is related to physics. Chemistry. Take the chemistry courses. The wastewater treatment all requires chemistry.
Right.
And I'm still defaulting to books that I used in, freshman year of college, and I still have them. So, and any science is good. So, just make good grades in every class you take.
Wonderful advice. We love it.
Don't forego a challenge. I've failed classes. I've been too busy trying to work and go to college at the same time, and I failed a calculus course. Of course, I took it again and did well.
Right. And would you concur with one of the ideas that I try to get across to my students as well, which is that you can learn from a book and learn how to do things the right way by practicing problems, but maybe you learn even more by making mistakes and learning from those mistakes?
No, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Every project that we do, we go back and kind of reevaluate it. Did we do everything the best way? Could we have done something better?
Right.
And can we improve upon it the next time?
Yeah.
That's every project.
Yeah.
So, and we'll get in the car and take a drive and go look at a project that we did, and we'll talk about it. We'll, we frequently have lunch and learn, in-house just to help develop staff and cross-train. So,
Sure.
no, we're all human. We make mistakes. But the thing is, when our plans go out the door, we can't have a mistake on it.
Right.
We don't get the luxury of getting a B on a project. We have to get A's on all of them. Otherwise, there's, liabilities and construction issues and things like that.
And when you get those A's, it sounds so rewarding. You can actually go back and see what you've done. You can see the product that you made. We're so grateful for the time that you spent with us today. We want to make sure that you get the infamous or the famous Do the Math tile, right? Maybe this will be part of your next project. So thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate
You're welcome. Thanks.
Learned a ton, and as I'm sure we could talk for another couple hours about all this stuff because there's just civil engineering everywhere amongst all the infrastructure that we have all around us. The moment, though, we'll go back to the studio.
Thanks for that, Scott, and especially thanks to Matt for taking time out to talk to the students about the engineering that he does at LAV. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30 this afternoon. We'd like to say thank you to Holly for coming in this afternoon, a 4th grade student. And did you have fun today?
Yeah.
Good. If you could change one thing about your school, what would you do?
I kind of want, I wish they would allow us or our teachers to bring, a pet to school.
Oh, there you go. So bring a pet to school. What kind of pet would you bring to school if you could? Do you mean like the teacher brings a pet or you bring a pet?
Either of them.
Either? So if you could bring one, what would you bring?
I would either bring my dog or one of my turtles.
Oh, all right, there you go. Funny how that dog sound effect comes in there right away. Is your dog that loud? No, not that loud. That's easy. All right.
Well, one of them are. We have 2 of them. One of them's crazy, the other one's calm.
A nice little mix to have right there. All right. Well, we're glad that you were able to come in and have a little bit of fun with us this afternoon. And until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Kern Schools Federal Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Bakersfield West Rotary Stroop Family Foundation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and the Kern High School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.